Greetings, campers, and welcome to our webinar on identity theft and fraud prevention. I'm Scott Walker, Executive Director of the Canadian Artists Network, and like you, I am a performing artist in my case. It's a pleasure to welcome artists from right across Canada to today's webinar. And we'd like to begin by acknowledging that we live, work, travel, and create on the traditional territories of Indigenous peoples who have cared for this land, now called Canada, since time immemorial. We acknowledge this as part of our covenant with all Indigenous nations to share, respect, and protect the land in the spirit of peace and friendship, and to honor the future generations of all our nations. Identity theft and fraud prevention. Wow. I received 2 phone calls this week within an hour, each one telling me that Service Canada was about to cancel my social insurance number. I didn't wait to hear any more because I knew that Service Canada would not call me, certainly do a robocall the way they did. And it was the same voice that called me a few weeks ago to tell me that the Visa department was canceling my card, and that Amazon was also, this woman got around, boy, she was calling from a lot of different people. There were scams large and small out there, and we're going to try to alert you to some of them today. I know questions may occur to you as you're listening to our expert today, and when they do, please put them in the Q&A box, and we will get to them, and as many as we can afterwards. You can also put them in the chat box because Nick is going to be monitoring the chat box while he does his presentation. And if you check the chat box right now, you will see a PDF file of his presentation, so you don't have to take lots of notes. You can just download that, and I can also make it available to you later on. Our guest today has worked in the financial services industry for more than 20 years, both in Canada and abroad. He is currently the branch manager of Creative Arts Financial, which is the financial institution of choice for the Canadian Artists Network. He's helped us stretch our dollars as far as possible. Please welcome Nick Eddy. Nick.
Thank you very much, Scott. So once again, thank you for joining us today. My name is Nick Eddy. I'm the manager at Creative Arts Financial, and we're a division of First Ontario Credit Union. Creative Arts, for those who have never heard of us, we are committed to becoming the leading provider of financial services to the arts and entertainment industry and their families. Being created by artists, for artists, and we think differently about you than the banks do. We understand the industry and we understand the people in it. Very passionate about helping our members plan for the future, achieve financial goals, and provide financial literacy, which was one reason I really jumped at the opportunity to be able to speak when Scott asked me to, because it's also my passion. So we have a unique understanding of the industry and are committed to becoming that leading provider. Now, Scott's already given you a Coles Notes version of who I am. This is me. I've worked in the financial services industry for 20 years in both Canada and abroad. I grew up in Australia, in case the accent didn't give it away, and after living in London, England for a number of years, I now call Toronto home with my family. I do have an extensive background in financial planning and a passion for helping our members achieve their long and short-term goals, whether it's retirement, buying a home, tax minimization, or just making those dollars go further, as Scott said. In my spare time, you can find me traveling, hopefully, not anytime soon, given the cost of everything, working around the house, or playing the role of an amateur woodworker or gardener. That's my creative outlet. I enjoy creating on wood and making the flowers grow. Okay, so in today's session, we're going to discuss, or what you'll learn is how thieves steal and use your personal information, some tips to keep your financial and personal information safe, and much, much more. I should note that everything I'm going to be covering today is generic in nature, high-level advice, and we won't delve deep into too many personal circumstances or situations. I would strongly suggest that you seek guidance from your trusted financial partner or your bank if you feel your financial information may have been compromised. If you don't know who to reach out to, my contact details are also at the end of the slides. So What is identity theft? Identity theft is a crime where thieves will steal your information or your identifying information to get your money and to get or to get credit in their name, whether that's a credit card, a line of credit, a loan, sometimes even a mortgage. So that is basically identity theft in a nutshell. Fraud is a little bit different. Fraud is a criminal deception intended to result in a personal gain or financial gain. That's, saying, hey, I am this person, give me this money. That's fraudulent. Or it's writing a check or giving you a check and saying, okay, here's $1,000 check, deposit it to your account, send me $800 of that $1,000, but you can keep $200. Right? That again is a scam. It's something where typically that check will bounce, and then the person who is being the victim in that case is left holding the entire loss of that $800. So, what information do thieves want? And this is tricky to protect. So, full name. If you're in the public domain, you've got your own website. You're a noted artist. Anything that you share online, they can access. Full name. You can look me up. You Google Nick Eddy Creative Arts, you'll find me. I've hopefully taken a number of steps to protect some of my identity. But then there's the address as well. Someone who is monitoring your home, perhaps they get details of your address or may be able to find that on the dark web. It's your birth date as well. Social insurance number, that's the big one. So make sure you always protect your social insurance number. No one will ask for that over the phone. Now, I'm saying no one. I'm being very general there. Maybe I should be less general. If you're calling your financial institution, they will not ask you for your social insurance number for identification. They may ask for a few numbers from that. For instance, hey, yep, to help me identify you, what are the last 3 digits of your social insurance number? We don't need the full digits because we should have that on file from when you opened your account. So do not give your social insurance number out to anyone over the phone. The full version of it. Bank account details. It's another one that the fraudsters or the thieves are going to try and get from you. And we'll go into some more why later. Online banking login. So for those of us who have accepted the online banking platform and it's now becoming more and more mainstream, that is the big one. Fraudsters, thieves are always trying to gain access to your online banking. So we'll talk a little bit more about some phishing or some spam email shortly. And then there is your credit card number and its expiry date, and oftentimes the last 3 digits on the back of the card, the security number. So what information should you protect? Firstly, there's a bank statement. By law, banks and credit card companies, they must send you out a bank statement. You can choose though, whether you wish to have that physical paper in your hand that's mailed to you every month, or you can get it online. There's so much information contained about a person's habits, about a person's spending or savings in a bank statement. You can look through a bank statement and say, okay, you go to a Starbucks at this time, or you get your coffee from there, or you use Freshco or whatever, people can follow you and just get that from your bank statement. So if you ever happen to be expecting a bank statement and you don't receive it, keep an eye on that. That's something to be cognizant of. Likewise with your credit card statements. Driver's licenses, car registrations. Obviously, it's got your image on there and knowing all of that sort of information about you, date of birth, your height, eye color, those sorts of things are typically captured on that. And then there's your car registration. Checkbooks. So if you still have a checkbook or you still use that, the information contained on your checkbook not only typically contains your name, it will contain your address. It'll also contain the address of the bank or credit union that you're currently banking with. And then the very last line on the bottom of that check is the entire transit account and institution number for your financial institution. So that'll give away a few details there. Your social insurance document or card, and any computer accesses, passwords. I know nowadays it is tough to remember so many passwords with so many different combinations and so many different requirements, because every site's got something different. So, everything is locked up on your computer, hopefully. Just be cognizant of how you are retaining that password, whether you're using a password vault or you're storing it, in your head. So some of the tricks that we've seen that are used to steal information, and Scott alluded to a couple of these in the start, is they'll call you and ask you for your information. You get those robocaller calls. This is the CRA calling where you've got a tax bill, and if you don't pay that tax bill, we are going to send the police to your house. Usually fraudsters will try and prompt a sense of urgency, and also will describe an outcome like, hey, if you don't pay us tomorrow, we're going to send the police. Just know that Canada Revenue Agency will not call you and tell you you've only got a day to pay it. Oh, and by the way, if you want to pay us, you have to do it in Amazon gift cards or Google gift cards. Those things are typically, they're not legitimate. Canada Revenue Agency will send you a letter, or you'll get the notification via email if you're subscribed to the MyCRA portal. And in the Canada Revenue Agency email, there's no link to click on, so that they won't say, hey, click on this particular link and log in. Because again, that is another method where the fraudsters will try and capture your information. So like I say here, they email you and get you to reply and share your information. So that would be a phishing attack, where someone is sending you this email pretending to be the Canada Revenue Agency, and there is a link. I don't know, for those of you who aren't familiar, if you're on your computer and you hover your mouse over any link that you're sent in an email document, there will be a pop-up that shows. And sometimes the words on the screen, on the actual link that you can see, differ greatly from the actual, when you hover the mouse. Don't click the mouse, but when you hover over that link, you'll be able to see where that takes you. And if it looks nefarious, if it looks too good to be true, probably is. When you click on such a link, that'll take you to a website that will look very similar to where you think you're going to go. So for example, we'll use creativeartsfinancial.com as an example. We have our website. It looks great. But if someone was trying to pretend to be Creative Arts Financial, they may have a very similar looking website in look and feel, but there are a few key differences that they won't be able to copy. So just be cognizant of that, spelling mistakes and all of that sort of stuff. Another way they will try and steal your information is to actually physically break into your house and get that. Now, I know nowadays most people take home security very seriously, whether you've got a security system or locks on the door or those sorts of things, a camera watching you. The other one is a car. So, I mean, there'll be times, I live in Toronto, but there'll be times where I forget to lock the car, and then I go out the next day and I can see my glove box has been rifled through. It's probably mostly people looking for cash, which I don't keep in there anyway, but just be cognizant of that, because there is so much information that you may inadvertently leave in the car. For instance, you've got one of those shared community mailboxes where you've got to drive to park, collect your mail from. Maybe something slipped down between your seat and the central console. Maybe it's a bank statement. Just be cognizant of that sort of stuff, because if someone does break into your car, there's an opportunity for them to steal your information. Then it's directly from your mailbox. with physical mail, you have a mailbox. It's got to go somewhere, and yes, there might be a lock on it if you're at a shared community box, or if in an area where it's just a mailbox, a mail slot. So be cognizant of the security there, because information that gets mailed to you will contain your name and it will contain your address. And that's two of the pieces of information that the fraudsters are typically looking for. And then if you have a social media profile, they'll be looking for your personal information. Where did you grow up? What is the name of your cat? What is the name of your dog? Do you have children? All of these sorts of things. One of the largest scams that we've seen a lot lately is the grandparent scam, where through social media, these fraudsters get a great understanding of what's going on, who the grandchild might be, and there's a name, typically male or female or non-binary, and they will call up and say, hey, this is little Johnny. I've been arrested. You need to send money now so that I can get out of jail, and try and create that sense of urgency. And it oftentimes comes across as fully plausible, because they've done their research and often know a lot about you through online and social media. Some of the popular internet scams are the lotteries and contests. Hey, you've won the lottery. That's great, fantastic. Click on here to subscribe, and you're thinking, hang on, I never actually signed up for that. Well, it's too good to be true. Or a contest that you won that you never subscribed for. Or you'll get the robocall saying, hey, this is CGI Holidays or something, and you've been the lucky winner of our cruise of the Caribbean. Those sorts of things, and unless you know specifically you've signed up for it, are typically scams in nature. The money transfer requests. It's when someone is saying, okay, I'm going to send you some money, but I need your login details to send you that money. Can you give me your online banking access credentials so I can put the money in your account? That again is a scam. Do not share your login details with anyone, including your financial institution. Financial institution will never ask for that information. Why? Because we have it. Well, we don't know the password, like that's stored securely, but if we need to access the account, there's the different banking systems that we use, and we will not do that without your consent. So then you've got phishing. Now, for those who don't know what phishing is, picture someone sitting on the side of a creek or river with a fishing rod. You'll throw it in, possibly you'll have bait on the end of that, and you'll try and catch something. That is ultimately the same with phishing, spelt with a PH. Is you've got these robocallers calling you through, and they're just hoping. They're going to send out tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of calls from wherever they're going, and you pick up. And if you respond to that, sometimes you'll hear the pause, right? You'll hear the pause between when you answer the phone and you expect for someone to say immediately hi back, or whatever the case may be. Sometimes there's a pause, and the next thing you know, you can hear a voice in the other side of it, and it sounds like they're in a call center, or they sound, that there is that pause for that connection. Be cognizant, be careful of those calls, because they will typically jump into everything, and they'll try and start a conversation and prompt details. Those calls are likely being recorded, and your voice is likely being recorded, and they will structure their conversation or their script in such a way that they will get answers to the questions that they want. And you won't think much of it, that they've recorded everything, and then they'll use technology to recreate the answers that they need to access or pretend to be you when trying to gain access to your accounts. So the phishing scam. So you get an email that looks like it's from someone that you know. It seems legit, and you deal with the company, whether it's the CRA or your financial institution. Should you click on any links in it? Should you reply? The answer, I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, is probably not. when I'm sending messages to our members for for certain things, whether it's I'd like to speak to them or I need to speak with them about something, and I understand with the nature of most of our membership is could be filming on set or you could be performing on stage. I'm not going to be able to hop and get to you through the telephone. So I will send an email along the lines of, good afternoon, member. Please call me at your earliest convenience. I would like to speak to you. I won't provide any details about the particular need, and there will certainly not be a link included in the body of my email. Now, unfortunately, through our company policy, we do have a link to our website in my email signature, but again, you can click on it. Sorry, you can hover over it and see where that item actually takes you. Your bank, your financial institution will not ask for any confidential information through an email. They may be phishing attempts. Again, we talked about copycat websites. They're made to look legitimate, but they aren't, and can trick you into giving information or personal information away. If you ever get an email from your bank, don't click on any links. Use a trusted website, a trusted search engine, and search your way to that website, to the legitimate website. Or if you get a text message that contains a link, I know many of you may be used to the method of 2SV or 2ID, where you trying to log into a website and they'll send you a number that you need to access the website. If you notice those text messages, they will not contain a link. It'll just say, here's your access code for XYZ website. So don't click on any links in text messages or emails that are unsolicited. Maybe you're getting a message from a friend. Hey, check out this website. It's great. Or is this a picture of you online? Again, there are other types of scams that we've seen to encourage you to click on something. Pop-ups. So for those who aren't aware of what a pop-up is, you might be browsing on a website. Next thing you know, another window opens up and says, hey, you're our lucky prize winner today. Congratulations, you've won $500,000. Click here to claim your prize. That's a pop-up when it's something that opens up outside what you're regularly expecting. Again, typically, they're not legitimate. And then there are also the many dating websites and other purported websites that are going to help you with those needs, but they are capturing information. They want your name, your address, your date of birth, certain information about that. So make sure you do your research thoroughly before providing your financial information, your personal information anywhere online. Some popular phone scams. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on the first one because unfortunately my mother-in-law, she was a victim of a computer virus and phone scam. So, there's that scam. Hey, you have a computer virus. I'm going to use the specific example that my mother-in-law got a phone call and unfortunately she's still getting, she's still not used to some of these scams that are out there, which is, hey, it's such and such calling from Microsoft. We've got a note here that your computer was infected by a virus, and I can help you with this. You just need to be able to, you just need to give me your email address so that I can send you a link that'll allow me to clean it up for you. Okay. She did, gave the email address out. She also, clicked on that link, and then that took her through, from what she was saying to me, a seemingly legitimate Microsoft page and giving someone access to her computer. Unfortunately, she went through this whole process, finished up. Yep, the computer was cleaned by the quote unquote specialist. And next thing she knew, she's like, hang on a minute, that didn't sound legitimate. And the next call was to us to say, hey, this just happened. Unfortunately, she had to then call all of her financial institutions, cancel all of her cards, redo all of her online banking details. and then go and take the computer to a professional computer location and get it cleaned up, because she was hacked there, and that's how easy it can be. That's what the fraudsters prey upon. Even if that's like they make 10,000 phone calls and get 1 or 2 people, it's what they do. Fortunately, didn't end up losing anything, because she took action immediately afterwards and thought, hang on, something about that just didn't feel right. So, it's like, give me access to your online banking information, your credit card information. Those things will never, ever occur. Hey, you've won the lottery or the jackpot, or I'm a prince and you've inherited some money from a long lost family member. I need your help to come to Canada. Please help me. We're related to this person who they've captured the details of through your online social media networks, and I need your help. Your loved one has an emergency or cash needs. We talked about the grandchild scam where, hey, I'm locked up. I need you bailed out. Please don't tell my parents. Or you're eligible for an extra refund, or you owe money to the CRA. They are some of the main phone scams that you'll see. Using myself as a personal example, there was one day last week that my phone just incessantly kept ringing, and it just kept ringing. And fortunately, I'm with a network provider that has a sort of spam blocker service, and I got the notifications that this is a possible scam or likely scam call. But I swear it rang at least 15 times that day, trying to just target that. I guess my number was put in one of their robocallers. Be cognizant of those things. Even though the number looks like it's a legitimate phone call from a legitimate number in your same area code, that can be, we call it spoofed, where they pretend to be that phone number. So, audience participation section. Please feel free to respond in the chat box if you wish. True or false? Legitimate organizations will never call you to request personal information or request payments in gift cards. Pretty sure I gave the answer away a little bit earlier, but who would like to take a shot at that? Okay, thank you, James. You are correct. The answer on that one is true, especially the gift card. The gift card is a dead giveaway. I'll share a real life example with you as well. So I had a member at a previous role that I was in, and there was this caller, and they called her, and action, the whole police are coming to your house to pick you up. You owe us this money. You have to go and get gift cards and pay us off and drop it and mail it to this address, or drop it at this location, and there'll be someone there to pick it up. Fortunately, the member came straight into the branch where we were working, still had the caller on the phone, because that's how persistent they can be. They will wait for hours if they think that they will be able to get something that they shouldn't have access to. She came straight in. We had a chat about it, passed the phone over, and 2 seconds later, after speaking with this person, it was fortunately, I'm trained in that particular situation. It was easy to see. Now, the emotional distress that caused this individual, it's something that no one really talks about, and it's tough just to be able to manage through that when there is that threat and it's coming from an authoritative tone, or someone that says, okay, I'm this company, you have to do this, or we're going to do this to you. Okay. So, a couple of the scams is the job-related scams. Being asked for your credit card details to buy materials or software to get you started. Yep, we're going to hire you. That's great. We need your credit card details so that we can get you enrolled in our company program to purchase the software. So we're going to put it in our system. Or there's an opportunity where you can receive funds from other people. So that's where I mentioned the check scam, where, hey, go and deposit this check at your financial institution, and then you keep $200 of it, send us the rest. Okay, so again, that's what we call a check kiting scam, and there's nothing for free. Being asked for your social insurance number before you sign an employment contract. Now, there are times when someone will ask for your social insurance number. there's a website that you can search, canada.ca, and there's a list of legitimate requests for your social insurance number. And if we have time at the end of the session here, I'll be happy to search that up and show you. But yes, when you sign an employment contract, you'll likely be asked for your social insurance number, and that's for your taxation purposes. That's if you're not working on an independent contractor basis. Don't ever provide a social insurance number to anyone unless you have really thought through who they're going to be. Okay. Then there is garbage, stealing garbage and recycling. So identity thieves will target your garbage or recycling bins on pickup day. Oftentimes they'll drive around a neighborhood and they'll look at the houses and they think, okay, that's a nice looking house. Maybe I'll keep my eyes on that one. And then come garbage day, they will rifle through your recycling bins. Maybe you've just thrown out that city of whatever's tax bill, or you've got some Amazon boxes in there and you're recycling. Your name and address are plastered all over most of those boxes if you use Amazon. Those are the things that they'll look to get your name, they'll get your address, and then they'll be able to, do their, we'll call it online research, looking for your profile online. If you have the ability to invest in a household shredding device, a shredder, go for it. Like I use that personally. Anytime I have any information that I want to shred that contains my name, whether it's old legacy bank statements, whether it's credit card bills, whether it's tax bills, my home insurance, my car insurance, they all go through a shredding machine before I put them out in recycling. If you don't, rip up all the confidential details as best that you can and distribute them across multiple different locations or bins. Some goes in the garbage, some goes in the recycling, so they don't all go out, hopefully at the same time. If you do see anyone out the front, now sometimes there will be people that may look through your refuse. Sometimes, unfortunately, people will do that or need to do that, but just be cognizant of what information may be contained in there. They will target facilities that process paper recycling. 1 or 2 documents may be enough for the thieves to commit fraud on your identity. So I'm not saying that to put the scare factor through you, but it's possible. All it takes is a name, and then you just start searching, and they'll go down an online rabbit hole using the dark web, which is the darker side of the internet. Public Wi-Fi access. I know how easy it is to go into a coffee store and you want to sit there, and next thing you know, okay, I'm just getting comfortable. I'm gonna log into their online or public Wi-Fi access. So there are two main types of wireless internet or Wi-Fi access. One is secure. You need a password and a username to access the internet. And you have to go into a certain website and there'll be a certain password. Most places that offer a secured access, you'll see it posted somewhere, or you can ask the staff at the counter, hey, can I please have the Wi-Fi password? The second type is the unsecured access. Anyone can access the internet. It's free and without a password. So for those of you in the city of Toronto, the TTC, anytime you're accessing the TTC's public access, you don't need to put any details in. You just click on a button and you're online. In theory, that's great. Unfortunately, fraudsters, thieves can use those unsecured accesses to obtain your information. I'm not saying don't use them at all, because they can at times be extremely convenient. What I'm saying is if you're accessing those websites, do not do any banking on them, right? That's one way that they can capture your information. Any public access Wi-Fi's are relatively unsecure, or there might be a shadow access. Let's say you're at Starbucks, and Starbucks public Wi-Fi is I don't know what the legitimate public Wi-Fi for Starbucks is, because I don't go there or use it, but Starbucks public Wi-Fi. Maybe there's a shadow site that is Starbuck public Wi-Fi. It's missing the S. That's how tricky they can get. You've accidentally logged into the wrong network. You still get Wi-Fi access because there's likely a person sitting at another table in the restaurant that's connected to the internet, and you're using their technology. So just be cognizant of those things. So the next, audience participation. There are many identity theft scams to keep up with, and it's almost impossible to stay safe. Anyone want to take a guess at that one? All right, so the answer on that is false. There are many websites, many government-sponsored, government-funded websites that can direct you on how to maintain your safety. And it's also through educational sessions such as these. Speaking to friends, speaking to family about different tips, tricks, tactics that you can do. So here are some tips that we've compiled that will help protect yourself. Number one is protect your card information. Never give your credit card information to someone who emails or calls asking for it. I'm going to put a little star unless it's someone you're expecting and that you know very well. For instance, a healthcare professional that I use, they called me to get my card details because the information had expired in their system. I know that place, I know the voice, I know the person. I was comfortable with sharing that, but if it's someone that you don't have that lengthy, tenured, and trusted relationship with, never provide your credit card information to someone who emails asking for it. Again, never enter your credit card information on an unsecured wireless internet service. And we spoke about how others could catch it. Next, shred or destroy your documents. Use a high quality shredder. You can run 8 sheets through most shredders and it shreds it up, and then mix it up before you put it out in the bin, because if someone wants to grab that stuff, it'll take them forever to go through and compile it. Cut old credit cards and bank cards into many pieces and put it out on different garbage days. So when we destroy a card here at the credit union, we're going to do I'm going to cut it into at least 15 different pieces minimum, or shred it, run it through the shredding device that we have. Most cards nowadays, they'll have a chip on it, on your credit card. If you look at your bank or credit card that you have now, you'll see the little chip, the RFID chip. Cut through that, cut it in half. It'll destroy the information contained within it. And on the back, many of them have a mag stripe as well. So if you flip your card over, you'll see at the top of it a magnetic strip. All the information is contained in that as well. So I always take a cut straight across the top of the card, and then I'll cut that tiny little strip into about 5 different pieces. And then I'll go through and cut the rest of the card up into similar. And not throwing the card out all together in the same bin on the same day. Why? Because if someone does happen to find every single one of those pieces, they will be able to recreate that card, maybe glue it back together. So make sure you either take your cards into your financial institution and ask them to securely dispose of them, or place them out in different garbage bins, different garbage days, so that they can't all be captured. All right, likewise for the statements. Many banks, many credit unions, you can take your old bank statements in and ask them to destroy it. Some may charge you a fee to do that if we're talking significant amounts of paper. Some just offer that service as part of the membership or part of having the account with them. So another tip to protect yourself is consider registering for the National Do Not Call list. Okay, now on my document, you'll notice there's no hyperlink there. Okay, I'm not going to include a hyperlink on the document because up until about 42 minutes and 48 seconds ago, none of you knew who I was. Look that up. Look up the National Do Not Call Register. That is the direct link if you wish to look at that. But take a look, you can register your mobile phone or home phone number and stop getting calls from telemarketers. Now, legitimate businesses must obey the do not call list in Canada. Legitimate businesses, I'm going to say, that are domiciled within the borders of Canada, must obey the do not call list. Thieves, however, do not respect the do not call list. Many of those thieves may be outside the borders of the country as well. When I say legitimate businesses must obey it, that's only if they are bound within Canada by Canadian law. So many overseas or offshore businesses that might still be legitimate will call through, but again, thieves do not respect that do not call list. I don't know how many times I've had someone calling me, hey, I want to clean your ducks. No. Right? Or, you know, you have an account at a financial institution and we're frozen your online banking access. Well, actually, I don't bank at that financial institution, so I know that's not legitimate. There was a particular situation where I received a text message or a call from my credit card company, and they also said, hey, there are 2 transactions that have taken place on your account that appear fraudulent. Click here to verify them. I honestly almost got caught, and then I thought, no, hang on a minute. I'm going to look at my own bank statement through my own online banking, and I'm also going to flip over my credit card and call the number on the back of my card to verify that. So some of those, you know, the thieves, the fraudsters will send out pretending to be the big 5 banks, pretending to be your local credit union. Just take a pause there and say, no, this just doesn't feel right, and do your own research, calling it through the number that you know is on a verified source. So I've already given that answer away as well. So if I'm on the do not call list, I won't get any unsolicited calls at all. The answer to that one is false. Yes, good job, Susan. It is false. As I said again, you will still get those calls, unfortunately, because thieves, they don't abide by the law. That's why they're doing what they do. So they won't obey that law, and you'll still get those calls. It, however, will reduce the amount of calls that you might get at dinner time from a legitimate source. You can also opt out with your financial institution. You can opt out of calls for marketing and solicitation, or you can put yourself on the don't call me list that every financial institution that I'm aware of has to keep, and unenroll yourself from their communications. Now, sometimes, unfortunately, you'll miss out on legitimate information that may be of benefit to you if you unenroll in receiving marketing communication. I'll share with you as an example from Creative Arts. Our members can opt out of receiving email from us, and we have to click a button on a service that we have that says, okay, we've got consent to release this. But we also send out a monthly newsletter to all of our members talking about the things that we feel may be of benefit to our members. At the bottom of that message, there is a link to unsubscribe. Once you unsubscribe, we can't legally send that to you anymore. So just be mindful when you're unsubscribing from correspondence from your financial institution, they may be sending you details that may be of benefit. For instance, we've just released a debit MasterCard, and that debit MasterCard allows our members to directly connect with their accounts online and use it for purchases. Now, many of you might say, hey, you've already got that, not relevant, but for some of our members, that's a life change. That's we can now attach the checking account so we don't have to rely on credit, and you can go and purchase your next trip, or hire your car, or hire the equipment online. Another tip, sorry, I just need to take a drink. Another tip to protect yourself is to be safe when online shopping. So use your home computer. check the URL. The URL is the universal, I don't even know what it stands for anymore, I'm sorry. The link at the top. Use a dedicated low limit credit card or prepaid card for your online purchases. And then in the browser, in the address window that you'll see at the top, look for the HTTPS in the browser bar, especially when you're being asked to input information. The S stands for secure. You know that website has been securely verified and independently verified as authentic. Another tip is protect your computer and or smartphone from viruses, from malware, from anti-spyware. So use an antivirus software. If you're not already using one, take a look. I know, and this is just my own personal preference as well. You can see you get the free online ones or the free ones that you can obtain. Sometimes the viruses they protect you from may not be as up to date as those when you have to actually pay for an annual service or a monthly service. So just be cognizant of that when you're doing your research, making sure that virus library is the technical term for it, is up to date or updated quickly. You know, sometimes the ones that you're paying for are updated immediately. As soon as that particular virus software company becomes aware of a certain virus or Trojan horse, which is where someone hides something on your computer and then attacks later, they're updated regularly. Use anti-spyware software. So spyware is where you've accidentally clicked on a link and nothing happens, right? You're just carrying along with your day-to-day, with life, and then maybe 2-3 months later, all of a sudden that spyware goes, okay, now it's time to activate ourselves. And all of a sudden you'll notice that your computer is working a lot slower. It's taking a lot longer to do the things that perhaps didn't take so long before. So make sure you use an anti-spyware software. Most times antivirus and anti-spyware software have a combination product. And that'll stop those particular spyware links from being available. With firewall software, I won't go too much into it because I'm not an IT professional, but firewall is another sort of option that you can use to protect yourself from anyone actually hacking into your computer. Ensure your financial institution's website or online banking website is legitimate. Make sure that, you know, if you're looking up or clicking on a link, it is the correct link. It's not creativeartfinancial.com. It's creativeartsfinancial.com. The trick is in the detail, and the fraudsters will always use what seems to be a very legitimate web address, but they'll miss out one letter or two letters. Or instead of using a decimal point, so www.creativeartsfinancial.com, they'll have www-creativeartsfinancial.com. And then there is using a virtual private network, which is another tool that you can use to protect yourself from online hackers. I think I've duplicated that slide. Let me try that again. Yes, I did. Sorry, I have to remove that one for next time. More tips. So biggest tip of all, I can suggest when it comes to protecting your financials is regularly check your credit card statement and regularly check your bank statements. I know it's easy, you get them all the time, you probably get them every month. Make sure you're going through the transactions and it looks legitimate. Did you go to that store and purchase that? Or so I go through my transactions quite regularly, and I know where I spend and I know where I don't spend. And every so often I'll see a transaction on my account. So hang on a minute. I recognize the amount, but I don't recognize the name. And sometimes companies have a different name or they have an operating account number, and they're likely legitimate. But if you're not sure, call your credit card provider or call your bank just to query it, because it's better safe than sorry. Sometimes maybe you'll I don't know, you'll sign up online for something and you think you're paying $100 Canadian, but next thing you know, you'll see a transaction coming out of your account and it's in American dollars, and then there's a foreign exchange. Like, look into those sorts of things as well. Pay attention to the withdrawals, right? Making sure that you authorize that and the pre-authorized payments. By reporting your unauthorized or unrecognized transactions to your financial institution immediately, I'm going to say most of the time, if it's immediately, they're able to take action. So if you're looking at your online banking and all of a sudden there's a transaction that doesn't look legit, call your bank or your credit card company immediately and ask them to look into it. They can look into that transaction, and if it is illegitimate, if it's not correct, they can correct that. And most financial institutions will make you whole sooner rather than later. Okay, so this one here, it's fine to share my personal identification or PIN number with my family members and my partner. Who knows the answer to that one? The answer is false. It's in the name. The number is a personal identification number. Do not share that personal identification number with anyone. Okay? Protect your passwords, protect your PINs. I know sometimes it's easier said than done to remember, especially when we've got different PIN numbers for different cards, different passwords and things. So that's where, may I suggest, considering a password vault, somewhere that you can store securely these details, and you know, can recall them when you need. Memorize them. Most cards have a 4 or 6 digit personal identification number. Either the number that comes with the card, which is completely independent from your thought process, memorize that one, or come up with a number that doesn't involve a date of birth of a loved one or yourself, or it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, or it's not 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay. Sorry, I'm not. I don't want to recommend any password vaults or anything like that because I don't have any affiliations with anyone. But you can look online, password vault or password storage security, and you'll be able to find a list. And oftentimes, even if you ask an IT expert or an IT security expert, they will be able to recommend them for you because that's their area of expertise. I use one personally myself. I also don't have any affiliations, and I don't want to recommend that because it may not work for you. Do not write your PIN number on your card. I know that it sounds like it may be common sense, but when you've got multiple different cards sitting in your wallet and each of them have got their own separate PIN number, writing it on the card might be easy for you to access, which is great, but it might also be easy for the fraudsters to access if they come across it. It's the big one. Do not share your PIN number, not even with your family. I know it's easy to say, okay, to your spouse or family member, here, take my card and go and buy X, Y, and Z. What you're actually doing there is if you do lose your card or your information, and you know, most credit unions, most financial institutions will ask you to sign an indemnity. And on most of those indemnities is, okay, is the card in your possession? Yes or no? Have you shared your login or personal information number with anyone? If you answer yes, then that actually voids the protection that your financial institution provides you when it comes to scams. Because they could say, I'm not going to say they will, but many of them could say, well, hang on a minute, you've voided the terms and conditions on our card agreement, and therefore you're not protected. So don't share your PIN number with anyone. If you lose your card, inform your bank or credit union immediately. Not every bank and credit union has the financial abilities to have a 24-hour contact center or access center where you can speak to someone in the middle of the night. Most of them, though, nowadays will have an ability to cancel or stop your card through online banking, or there is an emergency after hours number that you can get through to stop the cards. Hide your PIN number. When you're entering at an ATM or a point of sale terminal, you can see the picture I've got on the screen there is cover up your PIN number. You know, if there's a camera sitting above, that camera won't be able to capture the the PIN number that you're just inputting. Okay, so let me have a look here. Sorry, I'm just reading the message in the chat. So Susan's asking, how did your bank know that it's fraudulent activity? How this happens before. So financial institutions nowadays have a lot of very high tech tracking capabilities. The answer was, how did they know that there was fraudulent activity? So without going too far into this, because I also don't want to give away I'm not going to say industry secrets, but we want to make sure that we're cognizant is financial institutions will get a whole bunch of information every time you tap the card. Some of it is to do with a geolocation. So where in the world was that purchase made? Or, and if let's say that purchase was made in Australia, but you're currently in Canada and you've got a transaction that's in Canada, and then 5 minutes later, there's a purchase in Australia. That will be flagged. I'm using that as an example because that's personally happened to me where I've been here, I've gone and bought some food, and then I've gone and purchased a gift card online for my family over there because it's my father's or mother's birthday. That will get flagged and sometimes prompts a phone call. Or if there's no phone call, my card might get blocked, which means I'm going to have to pick up the phone and call them to figure out what's going on. The other part to the question is that the card never left home, never went anywhere else. The fraudsters can also, there is a technology called an RFID scanner. Someone just needs to bump into you or walk past you, and it can capture your card details. So if at all possible, store your cards in an RFID safe pouch. Many financial institutions can protect, many financial institutions either offer them or you can buy them at the store or I'm going to say cautiously online to get that. It is every time there is I'm going to say a fraud that goes on, it spreads around the fraud community like wildfire. So no matter how secure your card can be, whether you keep it, the only way to keep it really safe is never let it leave the vault that you keep at home. That's when the financial institution comes in and they can or will protect you if you've not shared or your card's not been exposed. Your personal documents at home, don't leave them out. Don't leave them out where they can be seen or stolen. You know, leaving a credit card on a counter and you've got someone that's come over to work on something, whether it's, you know, your furnace needs some work or the plumbing's not out. Leaving documents out, even when you've got someone that you think you can trust in your home, you can just take a picture of it, capture the details, flip it over, take the back, and that's how they can obtain access to your information. Likewise with bank statements or credit card statements. So be cognizant of what is left out. You know, here at work, we have a clean desk policy. I'm not able to leave my desk without locking up all the personal information that I may or may not have out, as well as locking my device. In your car, don't ever leave them there. Like I said, at work, lock them up. We have a clean desk policy. Including mail, so collect it promptly from your mailbox. And select e-statements or e-post if you're comfortable with those services so that you get them delivered or you even get a notification that says you've got a bank statement that's waiting. They won't send you a bank statement through email, but you get a notification that says, log into your account in your online banking and your statement is there. Probably also noticed that most banks and financial institutions are now starting to charge fees, some of them quite significantly, for receiving paper statements. Well, that's being done for a couple of reasons, but a lot of it is also to prompt that secure access to a statement, as opposed to it being mailed out, and once it goes in the post, there's no way for that institution to protect your information anymore. So another tip is to check your credit report. Most financial institutions and credit unions nowadays, you can see your credit report by logging into online. There are some third-party services out there as well that allows you to obtain a credit report through that third-party service. Hey, click here, we'll give you a free credit report, all that sort of stuff. But there are two main credit reporting agencies in Canada: Equifax and TransUnion. You can go straight to the source if you really want to get a good and accurate representation and an up-to-date representation of your credit bureau. So a couple of things to watch out for here on your credit report. If you are monitoring your credit and you see there's always an inquiries line, and if you see inquiries that are going on your credit report that you don't know about, if you didn't apply for that credit card, or if there are multiple different accesses and things like that, that's also a red flag. Looking for multiple name changes. My name is Nick Eddie, but on my credit report, it might say Eddie Nick, or the variations of the name. If they look like they're being changed around, that's a red flag. I'm not saying it's necessarily a fraudster. I get called Eddie all the time. It's just, we'll call it a name hazard. But sometimes someone might key my information into a system, and then next thing you know, it's been pushed into the credit report. Make sure all of the accounts on your credit report actually belong to you. And make sure everything that you see on a credit report is yours. If you lose your wallet, if you feel that your identity may have been compromised, as the example in the chat box, call Equifax, call TransUnion, and ask them to place a fraud warning on your account. That may cost you, or it may not, depending on the service that you've subscribed for. But oftentimes, and I'll use this from a financial service institution perspective, if we see a fraud warning on an account, it says this person has been a victim of identity theft, please call this phone number to verify before extending credit. Like, we have to call that phone number to verify. And if that person's physically in front of me and the phone rings, I mean, that's quite an easy to know. But there are times where that situation has occurred. Someone has attempted to open an account or open a credit facility in the name of an individual, and it's completely bogus, right? So if you feel that you need to do that, you can do that with Equifax and TransUnion. As I said, if you feel that you've been a victim of fraud or identity theft, call your bank or credit union immediately. Cancel your cards, change your online banking passwords. The last one we have here is notify law enforcement, which is, it's always a good thing to do. I also just know that they're not always going to take immediate action. So make sure you notify law enforcement, report things to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre. Be certain. So if you're ever uncertain about a request or a transaction, ask about it before you act. Like, make sure you're your own security device, so to speak. Ask about something. If it sounds like it's too good to be true, it possibly is. Ask about it. Do your own independent research. There are occasional door-to-door salesmen that will come and try and sell me internet services. I don't purchase personally anything from anyone who knocks on my door. If I need a service, I'll do my research on it. Or, maybe I'll let them go through their spiel, but then before I'm not going to say yes, I'll do that research, because you never, ever know. Okay, so I know I've covered a lot today, and I've spoken a lot, so much so that I'm losing my voice, but we've covered how thieves steal and use your personal information, tips to keep your financial and personal information safe, and much, much more. So on that note, are there any questions or comments or anything that I missed that anyone really would like to know?
We have one question in the chat box, Nick, which is, do QR codes on packages contain personal information?
That's a good question. That one I don't know. What I can share about my knowledge on QR codes is that they can also contain nefarious links. So be cognizant when scanning or when clicking on an unsolicited QR code. Someone says, "Hey, join this," and click here. That can take you off to a bogus website and capture your details. I'd have to look into that. I really don't know about the QR code, sorry. Theo, using a banking app, but it's not the banking app. The banking app would have security. So the question for everyone is that I use a banking app. Is it safe to use on public Wi-Fi? So the answer to the question is the banking app is secure, right? There's the bank has their security measures, their security encoding on that. The piece that's not secure is the public Wi-Fi. So, I mean, to answer that, it's like, it's the app is only as safe as the network that's providing you the conduit to use it. So the answer I would suggest is no. Anything to do with banking on public Wi-Fi access, you just got to be very, very careful. Some phones or some devices you can get secure secure channels on, but when it comes to banking on a public Wi-Fi, I'm going to strongly discourage you from doing that. I know it's convenient. You'd be better off using your own personal data or data, depending on how you pronounce it, in order to do that. So Claire, the protective pouch is called an RFID card pouch. RFID is a remote frequency. Actually, I don't know. Let me look that one up. RFID pouch, RFID wallet. RFID stands for radio frequency identification. So that's what the card that you tap at a device or whatever, that's what that one is called. So an RFID pouch or wallet. You can actually get wallets rather than just pouches that protect everything now as well. Just know, again, if you're on the TTC or any other public transit where you've got a card stored in a wallet that has an RFID protector, you're not just going to be able to tap that card. You're going to have to take it out to tap it and then put it back in. But they do help. Similar for keys and storage devices. So, you know, a Faraday box or a box that's covered in some sort of metallic reflective device also helps protect and may even protect your car from those thieves if it's still close to the door. Okay, do we have any other questions? If you do, my contact details are on the screen now. Please feel free to reach out, email, phone. We've got our toll-free number if you're out of the province. We'd be happy to help you with any basic questions. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you know, my goal today was, I'm not an expert on everything, but just to share at least one tip, trick, piece of information or advice that can help protect you from fraudsters.
Thank you so much, Nick. I mean, I thought I had a pretty good handle on internet security and ID theft, and I learned a lot today. Makes me a little nervous, actually, but in a good way, because now I know what to do. Thank you so much, Nick, for this. This has been great, and thank you to everybody for attending. I just wanted to let you know of a couple of things we have coming up. This is the last webinar we'll be doing this year, but early in the new year, we have a couple coming up that we are in the planning stages for. One of them is artistic practice and memory protection, because there is a link between how you practice your art and the way it protects your memory. So that'll be coming up in the new year. And especially for actors, we will be doing one on self-taping to help you prepare your self-tapes for auditions. We will also be posting a video of today's webinar online in the days to come. So you'll be able to watch it again if Nick went over some stuff that you want to revisit. You'll be able to do that. Thanks again to Nick Eddy and Creative Arts Financial. This has been great. Thank you to our series sponsor, TELUS. And most of all, thank you for being here today. If we don't talk again, have a happy holiday, have a creative day, and we will definitely be talking again in the near future. Take care.